can hear it. Go try it.
Trials and sale-assisted trials essentially get the best effort support only unless if sales have marked them as a priority prospect, they get the better type of support.
Thanks, Ilya. That's what I thought. So Michael, from there, what happens is they get into our queues, and both trials, self-service trials and sales trials get into the queue, and they go behind paying customers right now. But if they've talked to a salesperson and we have an understanding of their need, they can get access to support at a specific support level. Some of our customers, want to trial out premium and talk about premium things. Some of our customers may want to trial out gold or silver, so they can get access to that. But we want them to work with sales through that. So there are things that can be adjusted and evolved there, but that's our current state. Does that help?
Yeah, it is. That's very helpful. Thank you.
You got it.
I have a question.
Go for it.
So mid-market sales EMEA, we got restricted to license app, which is like taking away something full of sugar for salespeople. And that was quite difficult to get used to. And because we need to now submit more paperwork and issues, and we can't respond if there's a fire because someone else needs to respond, right? So we don't have a place where we can reliably see an overview of licenses right now. And we can't necessarily stop the fire within minutes ourselves. Have you seen any impact on the overall load on the support team from sales not having access to that? That's my first question, I guess.
Go ahead. First question. So I'll answer that unequivocally, yes. So go for number 2 if you've got it.
Okay, number 2. Would it be possible, has there been a request, or would it be possible for sales to at least get a read-only version of license app so we could at least know what's on there, or an ability to create a trial of no longer than a week so that we at least get some flexibility to help out customers or be able to do more on our terms without accidentally making a license forever for somebody?
Sure, I think that's a great, both of those are great questions. So zooming out, right, for everybody in the room, the license and renewals are with support right now as a counterparty to sales for compliance, right? That was my understanding. And it doesn't have to be that support needs to own it. It just needs a counterparty. And we are acting as the counterparty now. If you're asking me, I'm not the authority on this, but if you're asking me, I see no reason why you can't have read access to license app. I think that makes perfect sense, and that could help you and help us. So that's something that seems reasonable. Now, the right to give you that access, I'm not sure. So I'm curious if anybody else in the call has a good idea of if that needs to go through compliance, if that needs to go through compliance and product, right? Or if that's a decision that Sean McCann and support can make. I don't think it is. But from there, Hans, I do think your third one around restricted trials or some form of ability to automate a restricted trial that is compliance driven. Absolutely. I've said this, I talked with compliance about this a few months back because I wanted to make sure I understood. Does support need to be involved? Does a support human need to be involved? And the answer I got was no, we just need reasonable controls. And so right now we're responsible for those controls and trying to evolve and develop that. But from there, I would love us to get to a universe where we can enable it for you to be as close to frictionless as possible to help with having the controls the compliance needs. So I think there's alignment there. Now we just need to figure out who else needs to join in at that table. But Hans, what I'm going to direct you to is Sean McCann. He's in APAC, but I think he's a great person to talk to. Mike Dunninger's on this call. He's working with Sean McCann. He's based in America, so he's another person potentially to reach out to on the support side. And y'all can work together on that. But yeah, it sounds like there's alignment here. We want to help you. We want to make sure that it's simple. We want to be compliance driven, and the better we can make that, the less burden it places on our team and your team, the better. We just need to make sure that we're following compliance there. So
Yeah, no, I understand. I guess I've been in GitLab for just about 2 years now, and it feels like we've gone from one end entirely to the other extreme. So I'm just hoping that we'll find somewhere compliant
and that was so that we can learn, right? We got one side, and now we know the complete, and hopefully we'll land in the middle, which will be the Goldilocks zone, right, where it'll be perfect for everyone, and we'll be eating our porridge. So,
okay, thank you very much.
You got it. I want to open it up to any other support folks, any other comments there, or initiatives that you're aware of or working on that might be helping towards that. I know Eleanor is doing a lot of things.
Hey Lee, yeah, just to jump in, I threw a link to the license.read-only issue. It looks like that's with fulfillment team, but we do have, there has been an issue opened, and it does look like they're working on allowing everyone to get read-only access to license dot, which should definitely help out a lot of folks.
And to add to that, it seems it's ready and it's shipping in like 12 days. At least that's the milestone. So yeah, Hans, you should be good soon. The issue is the place to go, definitely.
Awesome, thank you.
We can take a tiny bit of credit. James, shout out for linking that, and fulfillment team, thanks for your help on that. And Hans, I love that we were able to get an answer in this call and share that. So great. And thanks, Mohammed. And I see Tom Atkins also added in here. Our internal request doubled, right? That's what, and he links something here. So that data may help y'all's as well. Cynthia, go ahead, Cynthia, if you want to vocalize it while I find this slide. If she's here. Maybe not. Okay, I'll vocalize it on Cynthia's behalf because I didn't hear her unmute. Cynthia says on slide 8, can someone add a column to the table for what the row values are? Let's take a look at slide 8. So slide 8 is customers with tickets versus total customers ratio. And yes, there's a table below it, and I could share my screen, I think. That will help everyone see.
That's a valid comment. I should have thought about it before. So just to illustrate, the first row is the customers who have reached out to us. The second row is the total number of customers in GitLab. The last row is just the ratio between those two. So how many of our total customers have reached out to us? But I'll make sure to have names for it for next time.
Awesome. Thank you, Ilya. And I will just share my screen quickly, just so for the video call we have that. So we were talking about slide 8 here and these rows. And so Ilya, thank you for elaborating there. And we have it in the agenda doc as well to get that updated. So great. All right. If you're on the call, somebody else below, so feel free to vocalize.
Hey, so I was just wondering, looking at slide 29, there's been like an 80+% reduction in free effort over the past couple of months, and that's great. I looked at the epic; it's mostly closed. It still seems to be a number of tickets coming in. So is there going to be like a new epic looking at the largest new cause of free tickets, or is this going to kind of close out and you're going to focus on other places?
Yeah, that's a great question. And let me just pull up the slides for the video. And you were looking at slide 29, reduced effort on free tickets here. So we are still looking at this. I believe this came up in the last key review where we do want to continue and see what evolutions we can make. It can feel like trying to get water from a rock, right? Where we've made a lot of improvements, and so now it's chasing those diminishing returns. So that's where my head's at. But rest of the team, thoughts on that, or any other things you've been working on towards the free user reduction efforts?
I would say that I think it's trying to get the percentage of free user tickets as low as possible instead of getting it to exact zero. One of the things just with running a SaaS service, there's certain things like did not receive confirmation email or did not receive password reset email that the community and the documentation are unable to assist with. It does take somebody internal at GitLab to assist with those type of requests. And I do believe there's some good progress. I can't find the issues right now, but I know we are trying to basically automate and allow people to self-service that type of request moving forward, so that instead of having to reach out to support, folks, free users with that type of problem can essentially self-service a fix or unblock themselves if their email's not being received due to email suppression, things along that line.
Thanks, Greg. Anybody else have any other thoughts on what they've been thinking about or working on regards free user reduction? All right, I'm looking back in the doc. Feel free to ask questions. We got a lot of charts, a lot of data. So happy to do what we can, answer what we can. And in theory, now it says I'm live on YouTube, so YouTube, cool. If not, we'll find out later when it started.
I mean, I have a random nosy question about slide 19. Like the trend for first time to reply, like logically keeps getting reduced until you hit ultimate. Do we know why there's like that sudden spike on the right-hand side of like down, 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 and down, up?
Yeah, that's actually a great question there. I don't, if I were to think about it, I think what's happening is ultimate tickets are probably a very small group. So we have a smaller sample set of data, and then on those, they get the same SLAs that premium do. So they kind of get in the same bucket. And so I imagine when we're taking that sample, we're just getting a smaller group, and we're seeing, we're not seeing the same quantity of data that gives us the smoothing. That's what I imagine. Ilya is the one who spends a lot more time looking at this data closer. I see him nodding his head as I was saying that. Ilya, do you have any other thoughts or theories or any other dives you've spent on that particular one?
That's a valid observation. Yeah, I believe you're right, but I'll definitely look into this further.
Yeah, the other thing there, Nicole, as well, I think, and I don't think it's captured well on that slide. So you can set your priority of the ticket. So it can be high, normal, or low, which also shifts your SLA. So there's a universe where also ultimate customers may have more tickets that have different priorities, and the distribution of those priorities may lead this number to look higher on this axis. So one axis on 3 that we're looking at that could be related here, but great question.
I mean, weirdly related to that, do we actually give examples of what the different severities are? So like, if you think of it, when you go somewhere and somebody asks you to rate something on a scale of 1 to 3, for you, when you think 3, you might think like, you know,
Yep.
I got a unicorn, versus somebody else might be like, I got a pony. So do we set expectations?
Yes, and I'm hoping somebody can link to, I see a couple of heads nodding from the support team and some smiles. We do a reasonable job. We have a document called the Statement of Support. I see Ilya linking to the support page. We try to help customers understand what we believe those values to be. And we're also working on initiatives right now with support engineers to set the expectation that we can de-escalate to those levels. And if customers have discrepancies with that or things, they can always ask managers to review and things like that. And it's not to deny customers or to push them down or say no. It's to say, hey, we have to make sure this system works so that we have the right resources when you do have a high severity problem, and we appropriately resource that. And yeah, and so far, I haven't noticed too many customers asking for manager review as we de-escalate, but we're trying to pay attention to it more as we grow, right? Because more volume means we need to pay attention to that more. But we do try to define that on that page, and our statement of support, which should be linked there, has a little bit more. So But great ask. And yeah, if anybody else on the call, if you interact with customers or are on the sales side, feel free, like, statement of support and that support page should be helpful and should be a thing that you should show to those customers. It will help. And if they have questions, we're happy to answer those. We're happy to evolve that statement of support to make it clearer. It's a really helpful document. Cool.
Since you asked, Lee, I'll give you my sales opinion on that.
Cool.
So what I always tell customers is they drive the priority. They define their business impact. We don't necessarily know what that is. It's not our job to say, oh, that doesn't affect you. That's only one server or only one thing or whatever, right? So I always tell the customer, they define their business impact. And what I find is kind of what you said, which is most people are pretty reasonable, right? Especially engineers who are typically the ones who are opening. They're generally very reasonable and accommodating. And they know that if they over prioritize, that they may, it's like the boy who cries wolf, right? So customers won't, they won't get the support when they need it, if it really is a critical or high, right? And then I always counter that statement with, and we expect you to treat it with the same priority you're expecting us to, right? So if you expect us to work 24/7, we expect you to work 24/7 to help resolve that issue, right? And that generally, gets the best behavior that I've seen with customers, and they're very reasonable about it. So,
Awesome.
And want to reiterate while I'm on the microphone that you guys are awesome.
Thanks, appreciate it. It's a joint effort. We can't be the organization that we are without the support of the rest of this company, the rest of the GitLab, and it's partnership and the structure and culture we build helps us be successful. Transparency plus. I would add to that, Brad, one other thing. Some of our customers forget that they have emergency support. I saw a customer the other week who had emergency support, and they were needing emergency help and submitted their ticket and didn't page the on-call. So another thing that I will encourage, if you're working with customers and they have access to emergency, make sure they know. We will do our best to point them and say, hey, you can page the on-call, you can do that. But yeah, something else to add on top of that. So thanks, Brad. And that's helpful. And I've seen people be reasonable as well. So yay. Pulling up our doc to see any others. Any other questions from the room? All right, team. Looks like the tide has gone out. We're chilling. It's a happy Wednesday. Cool. I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. It could be Thursday. Somebody in this call could be in APAC, so it could be Thursday, but I don't think they are. Enjoy your Wednesday/Thursday. Peace all. If you have any questions, you can find us in Slack. Thank you all for joining. Peace. Bye-bye.